Coloring is a fundamental part of the American elementary education curriculum. Whenever a project or assignment entailed coloring, students' faces lit up brighter than the crayons they were soon to draw with. Like most of my peers, coloring was my favorite time of the day. I was a crayon snob and refused to use anything less than Crayola. I loved the weird waxy scent that now induces a wave of nostalgia, powerful enough to travel through time and transport me back to my first grade classroom. The tiny desks were arranged in quads. On each desk, a colorful name tag was pasted, complete with gawky letters protruding in all the wrong places that somehow spelled out the names of my classmates. E's had far too many branches that stretched for far too many inches, and Z's had one too many zigs and not enough zags. 6-year-old graffiti of rainbows and smiley faces littered the white borders of the labels. Coloring time brought me out of my slate-shaded misery and into a world of robin egg blue skies and electric green grass. If coloring was a world, my hand was the queen, and crayons my beloved servants. The waxy world that I conjured consisted of hot pink cats, a vibrant violet sun, cerulean dogs, and no one could tell me otherwise. Until it came to people. No matter how far I was carried away in the world of coloring, it always came to an end. The piece of paper always had an edge where my imagination ended and reality began. My colorful daydreams were interrupted when I was asked to pass the skin tone crayon. I would hand the crayon labeled apricot to my classmate without question. It was an unspoken rule that the only flesh tone crayon was apricot. I wished the crayon labeled brown could qualify for this prestigious position too, but it was always thought of as the ugly or boring color and strictly reserved for apricot-colored people's hair or the ground. Even in my own drawings, clouds could be green, but people had to be apricot. I never particularly liked the skin tone rule, but I never questioned it either. If everyone else abided by it, it had to be right. Yet curiosity was ravenous and devoured my thoughts until I finally had to feed the beast that threatened to consume my whole brain. I decided that the next time someone asked me for the flesh tone crayon, I would pass them the color of my flesh, the brown crayon. My response was met with a furrowed brow and squinted eyes. "No, I meant the skin tone," my classmate clarified. Of course, this was synonymous with flesh tone, but somehow we both knew what he really meant. "Oh yeah," I said nonchalantly, and passed the well-worn but well-loved apricot. I placed the lonely brown back in its crevice of the cardboard box, where it seldom saw the light of day or children's artwork. Skin color to them meant apricot, but to me it was brown. I noticed that most of the world agreed with my classmates' viewpoint. The default color of everything was apricot. Pictures in books, dolls, bandages, even Jesus. For several years, I believed that there was something wrong with me because of my complexion. In the sea of my pale peers, I felt like a tiny speck of pollution that managed to ruin the harmony of the entire ocean. Over time, I tried to minimize the interruption that I felt my skin color caused by dressing similarly to my white counterparts, changing my natural hair, being quiet as possible, anything that would remotely make me blend in. My efforts to emulate a chameleon failed miserably. Their skin color was apricot, I was brown. It wasn't a specific moment like the afternoon in my first grade classroom with the tiny desks, awkward letters, and colorful crayons. It was learning about and seeing people who looked like me and were unapologetically themselves. I'm glad to have joined them today.